Practice set 17, problem 1. Determine the height of a tower if an observer stands 80 feet from the base and notes an angle of elevation of 38.5 degrees. Let's start with a diagram. We have a tower that we're trying to determine the height of. We have an observer that is 80 feet away from the base. Furthermore, they note an angle of elevation. That means when they look from the ground to the top of the tower, we have an angle of elevation equal to 38.5 degrees. We're trying to determine the height of the tower, and assuming that this tower is perpendicular to the ground, we have a right triangle, and we can use one of our trig formulas to solve. To solve this triangle then, we always start with labeling the sides. We'll call this acute angle that we know the measure of our reference angle. Next, we'll label the hypotenuse, the longest side, the side opposite the right angle. With our reference angle here through the triangle, the height of this tower that we're looking for is the opposite side in our triangle, and the third side we will label adjacent. Since we don't know anything about the hypotenuse, nor are we looking for that dimension, we'll discard hypotenuse. Going to the mnemonic for our trig function, so ka, toa, to determine which formula to use. We'll go through the possibilities. The sine formula is not applicable because we don't know anything, nor are we looking for the hypotenuse. Likewise, cosine has hypotenuse in its ratio. That leaves us with the tangent formula. And the tangent formula states the tangent of the acute angle in a right triangle is the ratio of the O opposite side length over the adjacent side length. Replacing those unknowns with what we know, tangent of the angle, 38.5 degrees, is equal to the opposite, that's what we're trying to determine, over the adjacent 80. To solve this equation, our variable is being divided by 80. To undo a division, we will multiply by that amount. So we'll multiply the right-hand side by 80, and to maintain equality, we will also multiply the left-hand side by 80. Simplifying on the right-hand side, the 80 in the numerator cancels out the 80 in the denominator. Since 80 divided by 80 is 1, x times 1 divided by 1 is x, and we're left with simplifying the left-hand side. I have a traditional scientific calculator here that I'll use to simplify the left-hand side, and I'll start with determining the ratio for the tangent of 38.5 degrees. With a traditional scientific calculator, we start with the angle measurement first and then strike the trig key, in this case tangent. The ratio for this angle gives us a value of 0.7954, and the last operation then is to multiply that ratio by 80, which will give us the length of the tower, a height of 63.6 feet.